The world could always use more heroes. If only it were that easy. After all, heroes aren't born. They're made.
What's up everybody, hope all is well. So, Sojourn's official. We'll cover her origin story, gameplay, and developer update, as well as a few other tidbits of lore I pulled from previous content, but I wanted to use the intro to take a moment and reflect on something I think is actually pretty cool. Sojourn's first appearance was way back in 2016 with the Anna origin story. Let that sink in, almost 6 years later, she's here. The seemingly simple decision back then to include her in the art because maybe someday they might want to add her into the game proper, and then consider all the work done by all the people over those 6 years to carry those intentions forward and eventually create her story and timelines, align her story arc with the rest of the cast, and then develop the actual hero. I find that level of foresight and commitment to an idea pretty cool and representative of just how dedicated developers can be to the art. So Sojourn, let's talk about it. In the last major developer update, they promised to start communicating relevant information about Overwatch 2 before the beta launches, and so far they've been holding true to that. They covered the ping system a few weeks ago, and pretty much 2 years to the day from when Echo was released, we get a Sojourn reveal. We all knew about her and knew she was coming to the game. She's been hinted at for a long time and even included in some critical content like the Storm Rising cinematic, but that doesn't make a new hero any less sweet. And she looks like the real deal. It's interesting to see how hero kits have evolved since launch. Blizz confirmed she'll be playable in the beta, and while more heroes are coming, there's no word on when, though if I had to guess, probably not until future betas. At a high level, she's a railgun-toting DPS who hails from Canada and has played a vital role in the Omnic War and Overwatch organization. A primary trait is her use of cybernetics to enhance her combat capabilities. Her backstory is largely a mystery, but they said a cinematic is currently being made, which will help flesh out some more of that detail. So let's knock this out. We'll do a quick recap of her origin story and lore, then her hero kit, and check out some gameplay throughout. It's all timestamped, so if you don't care about one thing or the other, just jump to the relevant section. Her name is Vivian Chase. Born in Canada, she served in their Special Operations Unit during the Omnic Crisis. We know she fought with Jack Morrison, aka Soldier 76, during the war, but few details or specifics beyond that. After the war, Jack reached out and invited her to Overwatch, where she served as captain. She's portrayed as a real team player who did whatever the team needed, whether it be leading the charge or commanding the troops, most famously of which was her leadership during the Storm Rising mission we play through each Archives event. In the cinematic, Sojourn takes a moment to emphasize her focus was simply to bring everyone home. Sounds like she should have been a support hero to me. I'm just kidding, We can also see from the origin story she relies heavily on cybernetics, arms, legs, and even brain and eye implants that we can see, but who knows beyond that? No indication how or why she has these, but one or two pieces of lore seem to suggest some are necessary while others are voluntary. Pretty excited to hear those details. Like I mentioned earlier, her most notable appearance until now was in Storm Rising. Overwatch had been stumbling trying to catch Doomfist, and it was Sojourn who suggested instead they go after his banker Maximilian. She appointed Trace her field leader and commanded the mission to success from afar. The only other info I could find in her background was this image from Anna's origin story. That's her on the right when Overwatch was in its prime. It appears she had cybernetic arms even back then. That's some great art though, isn't it? Present day, well, we all know Overwatch was disbanded and Sojourn retired to her home city of Toronto. The origin story closes with her on a motorcycle talking about how when the best journeys end, there's a new one right around the corner. No doubt talking about Winston recalling Overwatch. Beyond all that, Miranda, a narrative designer for Blizzard, said Sojourn played a big role during the UN hearings that led to Overwatch being shut down, so curious to learn more about that. She described her as a brilliant tactician and a great leader, and the best part for me personally, Miranda said Sojourn reminds her of Anna in that she has so many pre-existing relationships with the Overwatch cast that bringing her into the game and lore feels natural. So, where to start with her kit? I think she looks pretty insane actually, a sort of grounded version of Echo. Incredibly mobile, decent versatility, and great burst damage. It all revolves around her railgun, the first such gun in Overwatch. I think it was Jeff who said she's quickly become a favorite in-house and that she's really fun to play because her abilities can be comboed in so many ways depending on the situation. So let's check out her kit and see if such high praise is warranted. Her railgun has a primary and secondary fire. Her left mouse click is what Jeff described as a rapid fire spread of projectiles, and her secondary secondary fire is the actual railgun. Now, no word on if her primary can headshot, but I would assume so. I see it as a machine gun version of Hogg's scrap gun maybe. Not very accurate, but get close enough to make every pellet a headshot and you wreck people. Her primary builds charge for her secondary, the actual railgun. Again, no specifics, but my guess is primary crits build charge faster and secondary can be fired at any time, but does damage based on the amount of charge. I don't know, unclear so far. But to be clear, you need to connect with your primary to build charge. You can't just hide around a corner and wait for it. They had to experiment a lot to keep her gun from being overpowered in a pro's hand, and this is the version they settled on. Kind of brilliant in a way because the charge mechanic offers another mechanism to control its DPS. That's it for her gun. Let's talk abilities. First, power slide. Sojourn can slide anytime she wants, in any direction she wants, shoot while doing so, and get a huge boosted jump from the ability as well. That's some serious mobility, and to quote Jeff, it's a really fast playstyle with a lot of verticality. Her second ability is called Disruptor Shot. It's an expanding projectile that slows enemies and damages them when hit. Think Orisa's ult, just a more DPS-y version. And finally, her ult called Overclock. It automatically fills up the charge for her railgun, so for a brief period of time you can go nuts and just spam her most powerful attack. So what's all this get us? Well, I see a few things that have me thinking. At first glance, I see a freaking awesome hero that does it all except heal herself. Mobility wise, I put her right there with Genji, Tracer, maybe Echo or Doomfist because of their verticality, but it's tough to judge. I can't tell the length of her slide or magnitude of her jump yet, so we'll see. But she will excel at dictating the time and location of most of her engagements. From a pure DPS perspective, I expect her to shred, especially if you're accurate. I haven't seen official damage numbers for her railgun, but I'd be surprised if a fully charged shot isn't taken off, I don't know, 150, 200 hit points, and maybe even ignoring armor. Her primary fire though, it could go either way, depending on the range, spread, and damage. It could be totally useless or just face melting. And to top it off, her disruptor shot, well, more CC in the DPS role, so not much to say about that. So yeah, I see a beast of a hero, or at least the potential of one. Balancing will, as always, dictate it all. Most interesting to me is how she seems so well geared for creating big team plays. When I look at the rest of the DPS roster, that's lacking. Somber with her hacks, maybe May with her wall and freeze. As much debate as there's been about 5v5 and moving power to the player, maybe we've just gotten it wrong. Maybe that means they're enabling more heroes to do big things for the team. Granted, most of those big team things would be glorious offensive plays, but who cares? Isn't that what we all want? Honor and glory as a team, and a little extra for the teammate that made it all happen. Just a thought. So final thoughts, whether she's OP or not, I think we should commend Blizz on making yet another charismatic hero and one that looks pretty fun to play. We'll likely see a lot of changes with her kit before launch, so don't get too hung up on that yet. In the coming cinematic and eventual PvE will likely give us a lot more of her story to start to show what role she'll play going forward. I'm most curious to hear who she has the biggest beef with. What do you think? Do you like Sojourn's design? Do you think she signals a change in DPS hero design towards a more utilitarian one? Do you think Ryan Reynolds is the more popular Canadian? And with that, I'm done. Appreciate taking the time, take care of one another, and I will see you soon.
You're powered up. Get in there.
Tactical visor activated.
Onwards to victory. I will keep you here. Let me get you past.